my son's iPad lit up on the couch and stole the breath clean out of me. Standby confirmed. CLT to ORD, it read, the same minute Tasha texted me. Weather's awful. We diverted to ATL. I'm dead. Our 7-year-old was asleep down the hall. I stared at those two realities fighting on a 5-inch screen and knew only one of them could be true, and either way, my life was about to come apart. I'm Eli, 35. I supervise baggage at Charlotte Douglas. If you've ever watched a ramp crew move like a school of fish when a thunderhead rolls in, that's partly on me. My wife Tasha is a flight attendant. She moves the way light moves through glass, quick and sure. Until that night, I thought we were fine. Not movie fine, but bills paid, inside jokes, a little routine that looked like love. She had back-to-backs up and down the southeast and always said Atlanta was her second bed. The airline had a crew hotel near the airport, some bland box by a Waffle House. I teased her once that I should buy stock in that Waffle House because her messages always had their glow from the window. She laughed and told me to use my overtime on our yard instead. The rain started like someone turning up white noise. Our house sits in a quiet cul-de-sac out near Steel Creek. I tucked Miles in with a blanket that still smelled like dryer sheets and said we could watch planes on the flight tracker in the morning if the storms let up. He'd ask which one had mommy. I always told him, she's on the one with the coffee. That night, my chest felt like it was in two places at once, like I was the one diverted. I typed, "You okay?" "Which hotel?" and watched it sit. 3 dots, stop. 3 dots, stop. "Haven't checked in yet," she finally wrote. "Crew bus was a mess. I'll call when I can." The iPad notification wasn't from me. It was from the family cloud. These days, everything talks to everything without asking you. Miles's iPad had pulled a push email from an airline standby list, a company perk sometimes, even for spouses if you know how to ask. It said, "Standby confirmed. CLT or D. Last updated 10 minutes earlier." You don't normally put in for standby when you're diverted. You run for a shuttle and pray the hotel doesn't smell like feet. I set the iPad down like it might break and went to the hall closet. On the top shelf, behind the winter hats, was a little white tracking puck with a dent in the edge where Miles had tried to bite it when he was a toddler. An AirTag. We'd stuck it to Tasha's roller bag last year after she lost it overnight at LaGuardia. She joked that I was trying to microchip her suitcase. Tonight, for the first time in our marriage, I opened the Find app not for lost luggage, but for something else entirely. A gray dot blinked alive near the center of Charlotte, nowhere near the airport or any crew hotel. It pulsed on a street I knew for cocktail bars and bright new apartments, the kind of place where a rooftop charges $15 for a drink and no one wears socks. I zoomed in. There it was, a boutique place with Edison bulbs and a mural of wings people posted on Instagram. The AirTag told me exactly which block of the lobby her roller bag had rolled across. I'm not stupid. I also don't drink the night before a possible emergency call-in. We have a standing promise, if my guys get hurt, I show up sober. I walked into the kitchen and stood in front of the cabinet anyway. The bottle of bourbon stared back like a friend with a good memory and bad advice. "Later," I said out loud to the wood and shut it. I pulled out my wallet instead. My phone buzzed a second time. Not Tasha, not work. It was my bank. Debit card purchase, Greenleaf Pharmacy, 42.19, 12:58 a.m., South End. South End isn't anywhere near the ATL Crew Hotel. But it is near where Captain Graham lives. I've known Graham by exactly one thing: his presence in the crew lounge on days I walked through looking for a missing stroller or filing a report. Tall, grin like he got upgraded in the womb. He once said to Tasha in front of me, "You fly like you were born with wings," and I told myself pilots practice saying things like that so the cabin felt looked after. I told myself a lot of things so I could keep my coffee down. "Greenleaf closes at 1, I muttered, pulling up the map. The pin was 3 blocks from the condo address I'd seen on a crew roster by accident when a packet slipped across the counter. Not a number you memorize on purpose. A number your brain keeps at low volume in case of emergency, like a spare key under a rock. Now the spare key burned a hole in my throat. I don't know how long I stood there. Long enough to hear the rain soften, long enough to hear Miles turn over, long enough for the AirTag to shift a little, then settle again, like a heartbeat catching itself. Finally, I grabbed my keys and my jacket and left a note on the fridge that said I was checking a bag issue at the airport. In a way, it wasn't a lie. When you know a building's lobby smell before you see it, you've been around too many airports. The boutique hotel had that mix of lemon cleaner and old carpet pretending to be young. The front desk guy looked like a sophomore with a good GPA. He gave me the smile you give a man in a jacket who looks like he's trying not to bleed. I didn't ask for a room number. I wasn't here to be the cop. I sat down in a velvet chair and watched the elevators like they were a runway. The AirTag said her bag was here. She could be upstairs. She could be around the corner laughing at a joke that cost me a marriage. "Sir, can I help with anything?" he asked after a minute too long. "You got a vending machine?" I said. "Basement," he said, "by the ice." I took the stairs, let the cold of the machine slap me awake, and stared at the bag of mints in the top row as if it owed me rent. Mints. A picture flashed in my head, my wife at a pharmacy buying an inhaler and mint lozenges, according to a text I didn't have yet but would. I didn't know then about the inhaler. But I knew about the candies because she always sucked one before kissing me after a flight. "Airplane breath," she'd say, and I'd make fun of her for buying artisan mints like they were perfume. I didn't sleep that night. I drove loops. I parked once on Graham Street and felt so ashamed I wanted to crawl under the car. I went home. I lay on the couch and watched a thunderstorm on the weather radar crawl over Tennessee like a bruise. I thought of the word diversion. In my world, it means you put wheels somewhere else because the sky decided it. Tonight, it meant the truth got rerouted around my heart and came back painted as weather. In the morning, Miles barreled down the hall and into my ribs. "Is Mommy home?" he asked, hair exploding in every direction. "She's on a trip," I said. "We're gonna make pancakes." My voice sounded like someone else's. He's 7. He noticed things and pretended not to. He watched me pour batter, then watched my phone, then watched me again, like he could see his future in the bubbles bursting around the edges. "Did it thunder?" he asked. "Yeah, buddy," it thundered. A few hours later, Tasha texted, late morning. "Just got to my room," she wrote, as if there hadn't been a night at all. "Cruise beat. I'll nap then call." I stared at the words. I had already checked her airline's ops system from a terminal at work. Another perk. I'd watched the radar and seen the big storms move, yes. But her inbound flight's tail number easy to trace, and I had the screens landed on time. The captain wrote, "Smooth ride, light chop." Dispatchers don't usually call diversion for light chop. I printed the arrival and gate timestamp and tucked it in my pocket like a Bible. I know what airplanes do even when they lie. I needed to see someone who wasn't me to make sure I wasn't inventing storms. Greenleaf Pharmacy had big windows that made the pills look moral. Behind the counter was a woman with a ponytail and a sticky note smile I didn't know I needed. Her name tag said, Nora. She had ink on her wrist like a map. "Can I help you find anything?" she said. I wasn't her problem at all. I was a man in a jacket clutching a piece of paper like an exorcism. She could have told me to leave. "Hey," I said, and my voice scraped. "This is going to sound strange, but I'm trying to confirm a purchase that was made here last night. I'm not asking for card info or anything. I just want to know if a woman like this." I pulled up Tasha's picture on my phone, the one where she's wearing Miles' school hoodie and squinting into a fall sun, came in around 1. Nora's smile thinned into professional. "I can't give details," she said. "Privacy." "I get it," I said. "I work at the airport. We do chain of custody. If I'm out of line, just tell me. But I think my wife is lying to me about where she was. I just need to know if I'm crazy. She studied my face. Maybe she saw a man who'd slept on a couch and pressed his thumbnail so hard into his palm he left a crescent. Maybe she recognized the way people hold their cheeks up so they won't fall. I can tell you if we had someone matching that description around then, she said slowly. And only that. That's all, I said. She disappeared into the back for a minute that made my teeth grind. When she came back, her eyes had softened in a way that hurt. We did, she said. She asked for an inhaler, over the counter, and some mint lozenges. She was a little out of breath. She paused. We're in South End. A lot of crew live around here. I know, I said. I know exactly who lives around here. My mouth tasted like copper. Nora hesitated, then added, she paid with a card that matched the time you said. That's as far as I can go. My hand trembled with something that wasn't quite gratitude. Thank you, I said. I'm not going to make trouble. Thanks. She touched the counter with her fingertips, like a tap-out. Hey, she said, voice lower. Whatever this is, it's not your fault. I swallowed a noise and nodded. Outside, the day looked too clean. South End sparkled like a promise it didn't owe me. I walked 3 blocks just to feel my legs, past a coffee shop where 2 people laughed like their hearts were new. I stood at the corner where I could see the lobby of the boutique hotel through the glass. I imagined Tasha moving through that light like she always did. I imagined the man who thought he deserved that light. The word diversion got louder in my head. At work, I ambushed Duke at the ramp break room. Duke has forearms like he's made of rope and wisdom he didn't order. He looked at my face and bit into an apple and didn't say the obvious thing. He just said, "You look like a wing bolt that got over-torqued." Her flight, I said. They said weather. They said diversion. But the logs show on time. CLT to CLT. No gate swap. I watched the ground times, smooth like a prayer. And you know where her bag was? Uptown. Not the crew hotel. A boutique. I got a pharmacy hit a block from Graham's place at 1 in the morning. Duke chewed. The apple popped in his teeth. He sat down slow. You want me to ask around? He said. I shook my head. No gossip. Just truth. I can get arrested by my own anger later. Right now I need to be a clerk and file a case on my life. He nodded, wiped his thumb on his jeans. Then file it, he said. Collect. Don't confront until you could hand your mother a folder and not get laughed out the room. I went to the pharmacy, I said. He whistled low. You didn't hit the bottle, he said. It wasn't a question. Not yet. Don't, he said. Not over someone else's weather. His language sat in me like an anchor. Not over someone else's weather. I spent my lunch hour buried in arrival and departure times, printing a timeline so dull it made me nauseous. A stranger would have thought I was planning a birthday party for a plane. Time on, time off, taxi, gate, bag on, bag off. An airline is a factory. A marriage is supposed to be a garden. Mine had had a conveyor belt running through it, and I hadn't even noticed the clank. At 3 in the afternoon, I texted her. Hey, how's ATL? I wrote. Storm's cleared, she answered. We're dead. Crew nap time. What hotel? I wrote. Careful as surgery. Near the airport, she wrote. Same as always. Which one? Eli. Which? 1. 3 dots. Stop. You know I can't give you exact locations, she wrote. That's when I drove to the boutique hotel. If you're going to rip the bandage, rip it where the light is ugly. The lobby had a new kind of quiet, the one that forms around a man who wants the truth more than he wants his life. I watched the elevators until the doors slid open and a flight attendant stepped out with a roller bag. Not Tasha, a 20-something with fresh lipstick and tired eyes. Then another, not Tasha, and then she was there. She saw me from inside the elevator like a woman recognizing a ghost. Her hand did a little stutter toward the door close button, then dropped to her side. The doors opened all the way. She wheeled forward. Her reflex smile showed up, the one that smoothed over 1,000 late coffees. It looked brittle in this light. "Eli," she said, a whisper that knew it had already lost. "Where's the crew?" I asked out loud, so the boy behind the desk could hear, so the cameras could capture a man asking his wife a simple question in a clean lobby. She glanced at the desk boy, at the mural wings, at the receipts in my hand. "Can we not do this here?" she murmured. "Here is exactly where we do it," I said. "You said you were in Atlanta. You said weather diverted you. Your airline says otherwise. My screens say otherwise. The AirTag says you were here at 1. My bank says a pharmacy in South End at 12,580. So again, where is your crew?" Her throat moved like she'd swallowed a bolt. "Eli," she said, "please." "Please what?" I said. "Please let me believe my son's iPad had a glitch? Please tell me your roller bag grew legs and went to a hotel by itself? Please tell me there's a storm on my radar I can't see?" A couple walked behind her, watched us with the concern that only lasts 3 steps. The desk boy pretended to look at a computer screen. Tasha glanced over her shoulder. "We're not supposed to share exacts," she said again, defaulting to policy like a pilot to checklists. "You know that." "What I know," I said, voice low now, "is that you were in Charlotte last night. You bought an inhaler and mints near Graham's place. You slept here. And you told me Atlanta because you thought Weathers was a good enough lie to send me back to bed." Her eyes flashed with a weird mix: indignation, fear, shame. "I did buy an inhaler," she said. "I was short of breath. We had that turn and I—" "Tasha," I said, "stop moving the goalposts. Put the bag down." She set the handle down but kept her hand on it like a leash. "Tell me the truth," I said, more tired than angry. "If there's one thing left between us, let it be that." The silence that followed felt like the minute before a plane touches down, wheels inches from ground, everyone's breath held hostage. She stood there, mouth open, and then closed it, shook her head a little as if trying to clear a fog. "I didn't sleep," she said. "I walked. I needed air. I came uptown because the airport hotel makes me want to crawl out of my skin. I went into the first place that felt quiet. I bought an inhaler. So what?" "So you lied about a city," I said, "and you lied about a storm." She pressed her lips together the way she does when she's choosing who she wants to be. "I didn't want to fight," she said. "And you're always at work, Eli, or you're tired, or you're—" "No," I said, and my hand came up, palm open, as if to stop words like traffic. "Don't fix me to justify you. Did you see Graham last night?" She shut her eyes for a second that made me remember our wedding, when she closed them to stop crying because her eyelashes hurt. When she opened them now, they were bright with something like fury. "How dare you?" she snapped, too loud for a lobby, then lowered it. "How dare you track me like I'm cargo?" "I tracked your bag," I said, "because you put lies in my house." She lifted the handle. "I'm going to my room," she said. "We're not doing this with an audience." "We're not doing this behind closed doors either," I said. "You want privacy after a lie. I want light." "Eli," she said, in that voice that used to untie knots in me, "stop." "Did you see him?" I repeated. She stared at the elevator panel like it might rescue her. "I can't do this right now," she said. "You already did," I said. "Look at me and tell me the weather diverted you." Her breath hitched. She looked at me then, finally. "No," she said, almost silent. "It didn't." Something in my chest let go, like a strap cut with a knife. Not relief. A drop. "Okay," I said. "Did you see him?" Her jaw moved. She turned her head a degree as if refusing the last inch. "I walked," she said again. "And I bought an inhaler. And I wanted mints because I hate the taste of hotel air. That's it." She tried to wheel around me. I shifted with her. "Tasha," I said, "not soft, not cruel. We have a son." She stopped. The mention of Miles was my last fairness, and I knew it. Don't you dare pull him into. He's already in it, I said. He asked about thunder this morning, and I lied to him like it was weather. I will not lie to him again. Her hands tightened on the handle. For a second, I thought she might swing the bag. Instead, she whispered, "We're done here," and moved past me with a shoulder that knocked 7 years of photographs off an invisible wall. I didn't follow. A younger version of me would have chased, demanded answers until my throat bled. The version of me who tucked a child in and collected paper instead of bottles stood there and let the doors close on me like a lesson. Duke's line came back, collect. I collected the look on her face when the word no came out of her mouth. Outside, Charlotte inched into afternoon like nothing had happened. I sat in my truck and pressed my palms into the steering wheel and let the silence flood up to my ears. It didn't drag me under, it just filled me. At home, I made a folder. I've made 1,000 at work. You name them so you can find them when you're tired. I named this one Weather Diversion. Inside, I put printouts, the standby push, the AirTag map screenshots, the bank text, the ops logs showing her plane on time. I wrote a simple, sober summary in plain words like, I was filing an incident, spouse reported diversion to ATL due to weather. Airline logs indicate on-time arrival, CLT. Spouse's personal bag tracker shows Uptown Hotel overnight. Bank alert indicates W78 purchase at pharmacy in South End near Captain Graham's residence. My hand hovered over the bourbon again. It was 3 in the afternoon. No one would know. I would know. I poured it down the sink. The smell slapped me. I wanted to cry at the waist, then realized that was the first honest emotion I'd had all day that wasn't rage or shame. When Tasha came home 2 days later, she didn't bring it up. She put her bag by the bench like a prop in a play we weren't watching anymore. Miles shouted, "Mommy!" and hurled himself into her, and I watched the scene like it was happening behind glass. After he went to bed, I sat at the kitchen table with the folder in front of me, a domestic version of an HR meeting. She sat across like an employee who knew the company was downsizing. I made a folder, I said. She looked at the manila with the kind of dread paperwork earns. "Eli," she said. "I'm not your TSA," I said. "I'm your husband. I'm also a father. Those roles are in conflict now, so we're going to talk like adults." She stared at the wood grain. "I am tired," she said. "I am so tired of hotels and airports and pretending to be fine." "Did you sleep with him?" I asked. Conversational, like weather. Her eyes flicked up. "Do you want to hurt yourself?" she said. "I want to be done with lies," I said. "We can do hard. We can't do false." Her shoulders sagged like a carry-on that should have been checked. "Once," she said, so fast the word almost tripped over itself. "It happened once." My body did the thing where it tried to stand up from itself. "When?" I asked. "Last month," she whispered. "We were. God, does it even matter?" "It matters because you told me Atlanta," I said. "You told me weather. You used my language." "I didn't want to hurt you," she said. A sentence so standard it felt printed. "And so you stabbed me with a pillow," I said. "Stop it," she snapped, then covered her mouth with her hand like the word escaped. "Does he know about Miles?" I asked. "Yes," she said. "He knows I have a family. I told him nothing could happen. It was a mistake. It won't." "Won't happen again" is a promise I can't buy from the woman who handed me a storm. I could see wasn't there, I said. "I'm not yelling because our kid is asleep. Do you hear how bent my voice is from holding onto the table?" She wiped at her cheek like she'd spilled coffee. "What do you want from me, Eli?" "I want custody," I said. I hadn't known it until the words landed. My voice didn't shake when they did. "I want a parenting plan that puts stability first. I want you to stay somewhere else for now. I want to go to HR at your airline with a respectful packet that says your captain violated policy, And then I want to let the chips fall how they fall. I want to be the man my kid needs, not the man a bottle raises in my place. She stared at me. You'd go to HR. I'm not sending a manifesto, I said. I'm sending facts. No slander, no heat. Just the truth I was tricked out of. I owe it to the part of me that didn't drink. I owe it to the boy I lied to about thunder. Her eyes sharpened. This will ruin me, she hissed. Do you understand that? It will follow me to every base. People will whisper. You did that, I said. We sat in a quiet people usually pay money for. Finally, she whispered, I'll go to my sister's. You'll text me when you're picking up and dropping off, I said. You'll put your schedule in the shared calendar and actually keep it. We'll tell him together in the morning that Mommy is staying with Aunt Lauren for some nights because of work. We won't use words like fault with a 7-year-old. We will not use him to punch each other. She stood up, wiped at her face with the back of her hand like she was smearing away a life. I didn't think you had this in you, she said, something close to awe and cruelty mixed. Me neither, I said. After she left, I opened my laptop and wrote an email to HR that would get screened, scanned, maybe redacted. I attached the folder as PDFs. I didn't say, my wife ruined me. I said, I'm submitting this because I believe a captain may have engaged in conduct inconsistent with our professional standards. I am not making demands. I am providing facts. I hit send and sat there with the mild terror of a first-time skydiver and no plane. A week later, an HR woman with a voice like a good nurse called to ask me if I would be willing to meet, confidentially. I brought my folder in paper form like a relic. I didn't mention my marriage. I wasn't there to indict Tasha as a wife. I was there to note a captain and a subordinate had overlapping maps in the night near company lodging. After I walked out, I went to my truck and shook. Not from guilt. From adrenaline. Revenge rattles, sure. But this wasn't revenge. It was me restoring gravity to my own house. The airline does what airlines do. It quiets, then shifts. You don't get press releases about private storms, but word travels. Graham was temporarily reassigned to another domicile. That's airline for, we moved his base to a city where my wife is not. Tasha's schedule got tweaked like a radio station nudged off an old song. She texted me, you are unbelievable, and then didn't text for 2 days, then texted, we need to talk about soccer practice. We drafted a custody plan with a mediator who had a plant that was almost dead and a pen she clicked too much. I asked for stability. She asked for her days not to be called visitation. We settled on language like Miles stays with Eli, Mondays through Thursdays, with Tasha on alternating weekends, subject to flight schedules, and swaps will be communicated by Sunday nights. It was both too much and not enough. It was also sane. The night after mediation, I drove to the park where Miles likes to watch planes. It's just a strip of cut grass near the fence where people bring lawn chairs and toddlers clap for roaring engines like celebrities. We stood in the gold of 6 p.m. and watched a line of lights take turns. He leaned against my hip, sticky with a popsicle, and asked, "Are we going to thunder again?" "Maybe," I said, then crouched so we were eye level. "Buddy, Mommy's going to stay at Aunt Lauren's some nights because of work. You'll have 2 places with beds and toothpaste and books. You'll always know where your stuff is. You will not worry about where your stuffed dinosaur sleeps. That's my job." He blinked at me. "Do you have 2 toothpastes?" "3, I said, "because one is for traveling in my bag." "Okay," he said, satisfied by the arithmetic of it, and shoved his whole hand into the bag of chips like a raccoon. Someone's Instagram-worthy husky went by. A 737 lifted. The air shook us. Nothing fell. In the weeks that followed, people acted like people. Duke slapped my back and said nothing, which was exactly right. My mother called and asked if we needed casseroles or counsel, in that order. Tasha texted coordinates and stuck to them more than she used to. The house felt like a new rental where the walls already knew my last name. One morning, I found a mint under the passenger seat of my truck. It had fallen out of her apron at some point. I held it in my fingers and thought about lozenges at midnight and how people try to sweeten their guilt with breath. I threw it out the window, then worried about littering, then laughed because it felt good to care about small ethics after surviving larger ones. The last conversation that mattered happened on a Wednesday evening, outside school, with car engines clicking as they cooled. Tasha stepped out of her SUV wearing sunglasses even though the sun was behind a building. She took them off to talk. "We need to finalize the fall schedule," she said, businesslike. "We do," I said. "He wants to do soccer on Tuesdays and Lego Club Wednesdays. That puts practice right in the middle of your turn some weeks." She pulled a folded paper from her bag like she was producing a peace treaty. "I wrote down my next 2 months. I can swap some. I can trade with Jenna for the Friday turns." I looked past the lists to the woman who had once done lists with me for trips that felt like prizes we won together. "Tasha," I said, gentle in a way I hadn't been since the lobby. "Are you seeing him?" Her mouth flattened. For once, she didn't dodge or deliver policy. "No," she said. "He got moved to Phoenix or somewhere. We're not speaking." "Okay," I said. I didn't say good. I didn't say serves you. The part of me that wanted to step on something until it broke had met the part of me that swept. "Do you want to tell Miles any part of what happened beyond scheduling?" "No," she said. "He's 7. "Right," I said. "Then we show up. And when he's 15 and angry at both of us because that's the job of 15, we answer as much as he asks and not an ounce more." She nodded, slow, like muscles relearning emotion. "I'm sorry," she said, and her voice lost its battery. "I'll be sorry a long time." "I hope so," I said, then surprised both of us by adding, "That's not a punishment, it's just how the math works." She laughed once, no amusement, only recognition. "You always did put life into charts." "Not anymore," I said. "I've got a kid's schedule and an herb garden. If it doesn't leak or grow, it's off my list." We went to the bleachers and watched Miles run in crooked circles after a soccer ball he treated like a cousin. Somewhere above us, a flight to Phoenix climbed into clean air. I didn't wave. This is the part where I tell you moral things as if my voice can reach out and clamp you back together at the seams. I can't. What I can say is that the strongest people I know at the airport aren't the ones who yell when the thunderheads tower. They're the ones who document, who make a clean list while the rain slaps sideways, who show up with facts when everyone else is soaked in excuses. That night, in the lobby, I learned I couldn't outshout a storm. I could only stop pretending the lightning was just a flicker in my eyes. Months have passed. HR sent me a polite email saying thanks for the information and reminding me of their commitment to a professional environment. Translation: we handled it, you won't get a scorecard. I didn't need one. Graham's easy smile isn't in my periphery anymore. Tasha and I exchanged texts about